Hi, it's Erkan here. You haven't heard from me for quite a while, and I felt it was time now to get back in communication, back in contact with you, the audience, the individuals and the organisations out there. And I have some new ideas that I'd like to discuss. But first of all, I wanted to give you a little update and share with you what's been happening. Over COVID, I started to talk a lot about the global agendas, and if those of you who do know me have known that I've discussed the global agendas for probably a couple of decades or more. However, I got to a point where I was really just burnt out about talking about these massive agendas, whether it's UN Agenda 21, UN Agenda 30, all these things and the plans that are beyond our control. So much so that when I arrived in North Cyprus at the end of the beginning of 2021, I was burnt out and hadn't done much for about 18 months. Since then, life has changed dramatically, which I'll talk about more in future shows. And I'm back to consulting and designing programs and working with people. And the purpose of these shows now under Engage Business Consulting is to discuss, where do we emerge in life? You know, what is our voice? What is it we want to talk about? What are we thinking about? Where are our challenges? Where are our hopes and aspirations? What value is still within us? You know, what music, as they say, don't die with your music in you. What music is still in you? Whether it is your business, your family, your health, your wealth, your relationships, your community, maybe society on a larger extent. Where do we come back into the conversation? Where am I going to come back into the conversation is something I'd like to discover through doing these shows and starting to understand what is required at this time. Who do I need to be the person to get to where I want to get to? How can I instill those ideas and, if you like, agitate, empower, challenge, support those around me to achieve their inner value, to deliver that value. So my thoughts are about that, and I'm thinking about you. I'd like you to communicate, to ask questions, to make suggestions, what you'd like us to discuss. What are you dealing with? How do we feel about central bank digital currencies? How are we running our businesses at this time? What are the concerns? I hear a lot of people talk about their staff and finding the right people with the right skills, being able to engineer a product or a service and delivering it in the market and still make a profit with all the constraints of governance and global and government, if you like, local and global requirements to stay in business today. What about culture and values? How are we instilling those cultures and values in our businesses and our people? How do we attract the right people? How do we get the best out of them? And if they're that good, can we keep them? Will they stay? Or will they move on and carry on their journey? So these are the kind of things that I'd like to discuss on the show. I would also like to push the boundaries, say the things that we're thinking but not saying necessarily. And I mean that in a very empowered way, authentic way, in a way that allows us to say what needs to be said without attack, without, abuse, well, that's on your mind, that's what you're thinking. And I think all too readily in today's social media climate where everyone has a voice and opinion is say something, contribute something that you'll stand by and support and help us understand why you're saying that, why you're thinking that. I think there is a very powerful agenda to divide and conquer, to create a society of fear, scarcity and competition, something that I've spoken about for quite some time. But what would it take to transform that to one of love, connection and abundance in our time, right now? So I'm very excited to share that and the journey. For those of you who may not know, I live in North Cyprus. It's my ancestral home. It's where my parents came from when they emigrated from Cyprus back when the British were here. And came to the UK and built a life there. And now I'm back here, looking at Cyprus, North Cyprus, an unrecognised state. A lot of controversial conversations to be had about North Cyprus and the Republic of Cyprus and how that is maybe mirrored geopolitically what's what's going on in other areas of the world, whether it's Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, maybe on your doorstep, wherever you are. So that's my invite. I look forward to sharing ideas and thoughts with you, bringing very interesting guests, no pressure on the guests, to discuss what they're thinking, thought leaders, people that are really shaking it up and thinking about it. Maybe those who are just going to share their story about how they overcome the challenges and achieve success, or where the failures stopped them and where the transformations had to happen for growth. So all that and more is going to be on the show. My friend Sai Ekin, who I was just speaking to now, you love the mention, I'm sure, was asking me to say something funny, to be funny. Well, I don't feel particularly funny, but I think humour is a really important part of the process. I'd like to make the show one that is kind of kindly humorous, that we can laugh at ourselves and maybe laugh at the ridiculousness of our predicament, and to remind ourselves that it's just a game. Yeah, or as Bill Hicks said, it's just a ride. So on that note, I would like to say thank you very much. I appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to your support and encouragement, and most importantly, your engagement. Take care. This is Erkan Ali, signing off. Bye.